This is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good-looking friends. Today's video is one of those kinds of videos that may make you feel a bit lost for words or a bit nauseous. Maybe even shock might be the best way to describe this information that I'm about to present to you. So get comfortable. And before I get into it, I don't want to forget to say if you could help the kid out, please hit the like button. I really do appreciate all the support you guys give. It really does help the channel. So let's begin. Buckle up, folks. This video is going to be one hell of a ride. When you look at the whole picture of Meghan and Harry, everything that Meghan has done, or anything surrounding Meghan, is just clouded with so many discrepancies. If we look at all the stories that she has told, none of them are straightforward. From her childhood all the way up to present day. I mean, how many versions of the engagement did they have? How many versions of Archie's birth did they have? How many versions of that damn dish soap commercial? I mean, literally everything around Meghan Markle has just been so cloudy. So the question is why? Why is that? It's because Meghan's entire life that has been shown to the public has been one big giant lie. We don't know who the real Meghan Markle is, and I don't think we'll ever find out because there's been so much cover-up and support from not only the palace in the very beginning, but also her own family. And we're going to get to all of that as we go through this video. As many of you know, I just recently activated the TRG X account and made my first post, and as a result of that, recommendations from X, as well as stuff filling my feed, have been predominantly Meghan Markle stuff. And in that feed, I stumbled upon this account, Laura Poirot, who posted something very interesting. I highly recommend go check out that account. There's some stuff in there that I am not ready to talk about, but she does make an interesting connection that started this rabbit hole for me. And it all centers around this photo and this little girl in the middle with the glasses. That little girl, her name is Scarlet Rouge. For those that don't know, Scarlet Rouge's mom is Michelle Lamy. And if you don't know who Michelle Lamy is, I would go check that out. The only thing that I will say about this is that Michelle Lamy is connected and close to Marina Abramovic, who is well known for her art, quote unquote, in spirit cooking. Yeah, I'm not going to go down that dirty rabbit hole, but what you'll find there is pretty dark. But anyway, getting back to this photo, Scarlet Rouge recently in an interview had stated that she left California when she was 9 and went to Lyon, France to live, only coming back during holidays and the summer. So why is this important? Scarlet Rouge was born on September 10th, 1981. If Scarlet left for France at age 9, then the year she would be 9 in would be 1990 into 1991. So how is it possible that in this photo it says spring of 1992? So this is where the rabbit hole begins. And the questions that initially came up was, did they Photoshop Scarlett's face in there? Did they Photoshop the sign and change the number? Did they Photoshop Meghan and Nanaki? So the big question for me was, where did this photo come from? Initially, it was The Sun that published these photos back on December 1st, 2017. In this article, it doesn't say where they got these photos from, but it says exclusively given to The Sun. But 3 days prior, Nanaki Pretty, former best friend of Meghan Markle, comes out onto the scene with stating that Meghan always wanted to be Princess Diana 2.0. Keep in mind, it was less than 24 hours since the darkest day in history with the announcement of this engagement. At the time when this was all going on, people were so distracted at the excitement of Prince Harry getting married and then seeing Nanaki Pretty come into the headlines and then dropping all these childhood photos and giving what we thought at the time was insight on who Meghan was and how destined she was to marry into the royal family, because look at her sitting outside Buckingham Palace and how she read Diana's book and was fascinated with the royals and positioning this narrative of the type of person that Meghan is, determined and, really is very strategic about her relationships. Many people were saying, wow, Nikki's a hater because Meghan left her behind. Or did she? I'm beginning to suspect that Nikki, too, is a part of this lie. When you look back during this time, literally within a week, all this information was dropping from Nanaki. Of all that has been exposed about Meghan over the last 6 years, if Nanaki Pretty was truly the best friend that got dumped and was supposed to be seen as this person that Meghan left behind, how come she has stayed quiet? Or how come there has been no follow-up in getting her thoughts and opinion as to the calculating type of person that Meghan is? Now, this is just my opinion, but the excuse of Nanaki no longer being friends with Meghan is because of Meghan mailing the rings back to Trevor in the mail. I don't think really is a solid excuse, because if this was truly your friend for 30 years, why would you care if that was the decision that your friend made in order to deal with her divorce? You know what I mean? Sure, it may be like, yeah, Meghan, that was a shitty thing to do, but it really wouldn't have any bearing on whether or not you were going to continue being friends with her. I mean, Nanaki knew Trevor for a hot second over the time she knew Meghan. So if that was truly your friend in that situation, that was the decision that Meghan made. And if you are truly a best friend, you would respect that. You may not like it, but it wouldn't cause you to stop talking to your friend or the person that you were close with for so many years. Looking back, not only that was suspicious, but the stories that Nanaki told about Meghan. Knowing what we know about this woman now and how litigious she is, you would think that Meghan in some way would have clapped back or would have sent a cease and desist, but she did nothing. It allowed to continue. In addition, the palace no doubt had to been alerted by the Rota before going to press with all this information about Meghan. Also, the amount of information and details that Nanaki gave to the media makes you wonder, how long did it take her to prepare and get that over to the media, and then the media to run legal around it? Obviously now, folks, it was all staged and planned, and the content that was put out there, no doubt, had Meghan Markle's approval. Not only was this all put together to make Meghan look like she was some humanitarian and caring and thoughtful individual, but it was also to cover up for lying about her age. And this is probably going to be the bigger story of all of this when I show you how they manipulated the years to make us believe that Meghan was really born in 1981 when she was not born in 1981. I'm going to now prove it to you. This is Thomas and Tyler Dooley. They are the sons of Thomas Markle Jr. To be honest, I didn't know that Thomas Markle Jr. had two sons. I thought he just had Tyler Dooley because that's who we have seen for the most part in the media. These two brothers are a little over a year apart, with Thomas Dooley being born in 1991. Keep that year in the back of your head because it's going to become very important. So here is Meghan in a home video with newborn Tom Dooley in 1991. You see, remember the bush on Meghan's forehead, okay? Tom Jr. also gives an interview with Inside Edition, as well as gave photos to the Daily Mail. As you can see here in these shots, his son, Tom Dooley, is not even a year yet, and here is Meghan, as it states that she is 11 years old. I can't really put my finger on exactly when this photo was because I don't know the birth date of Thomas Dooley. For whatever reason, that has been really difficult to find. But what I do know is that Tyler Dooley was born in July of 1992, so he wasn't around yet. So this had to have been before July of 1992 and before Meghan's birthday in August. So she would have been 11 here, going on 12. So here is Meghan giving a half-ass performance in December of 1990 for the Christmas show. As you can see, she's wearing that blue rat tail, and who is dancing next to her? Scarlet Rouge. Keep in mind that Scarlet just turned 9 in September of that year. So here we are at December of 1990, the following year. So this starts to check out, as you can see this photo here now with Meghan, Scarlet Rouge, and Nanaki with David Faustino from Married with Children. Apparently, this was taken in 1991, which I believe. If Scarlett was 9 in 1991, before she moved to France, I would say that this was probably after the holidays, the beginning of 1991. You see, I don't know how long it takes before they went ahead and aired this episode, but you can see David Faustino is wearing the same shirt in the episode God Shoes that was aired in November of 1991. I think there's like a 6-month window between filming an episode to when it airs. So this would fall in line with the timeline. So most likely this was filmed somewhere in the first half of 1991, of which Meghan would have taken out that rat's tail out of her head. So now here begins the evidence of Nanaki screwing with people. Look at the photo on top. In the caption it says, Meghan and Nanaki enjoy a roller skating trip together circa 1994 when they would have been aged around 13. This collection of candid photos was shared by Nanaki. You can't really believe that now because of that bush on Meghan's forehead, as well as Thomas Dooley sitting in between Thomas Markle and Meghan, who is literally still crawling. So what year are we looking at? This possibly could still be 1991. If that, maybe 1992. Definitely not 1993 or 94, but Meghan is closer to the age of 12, and you start to see the timeline as well as the narrative that Nanaki Pretty put together start to collapse. So take for example the deception with this photo. It says in the caption, Pretty in pink, the pair at Nanaki's 9th birthday party in 1990 at her home in Los Angeles. Complete lies. They wanted us to believe that Meghan was 8 years old with Nanaki here. Of course, Meghan wanted us to believe that she was 8 and manipulated the public using the media by combining not only this video, which was the actual video of Nanaki Pretty's birthday party, but they combined it with the birthday party of Nanaki's sister, Michelle. And you can see in this video what E! News did was combine the two, making it look like it was just Nanaki Pretty and just her birthday party. But as you see, Meghan's now all of a sudden wearing a different dress, looks a little bit bigger. Nanaki's wearing different clothes. The little girl that you see in the white, that's Nanaki Pretty's sister, Michelle. So this was her birthday party, but they want us to think that it's Nanaki's birthday party. Michelle, I believe, is 5 years younger than Nanaki, so she would have been around 4 years old here. So now you understand why Meghan was so bored. She was at a party for 3 and 4-year-olds.
Meghan, are you bored?
Yeah. What is it?
Why don't we all go sit on the blanket?
Yeah.
Yeah!
That one. Aaron.
Aaron, how old are you, Aaron?
How are
3.
you? Montana.
And Montana. Okay, now don't give me any more. You gotta guess it.
And what you see next is how this was manipulated. So the clown is going around asking for names, and this little boy screams Meryl and is completely ignored, to which the clown that you don't see on camera, somebody's voice says, Meghan, you're 8. And I think that that was inserted there to make it look like Meghan was 8, because during that time they made such a big deal challenging Meghan's age because people didn't believe that she was born in 1981.
Who knows what I'm making?
I do.
What?
I do.
Well, say it out loud. A mouse is correct.
I want a potato.
What's your name?
Meryl.
Yeah, you? Meghan. Meghan, you are
What happened to
8 years old.
Yeah.
There you go, Meghan. You guessed it. You're welcome.
Could Meghan have had someone do a voiceover there? You betcha. Remember, she's from Hollywood. So you might be saying, well, no, Meghan could be 8 here, but the year is not 1990. Well, I don't think that that's possible, because if this was like 1988 or 1987, Michelle Pretty, who is Nanaki's sister, would be pretty much toddling around. She's now running around, which would make her around 4 or 5. So you cannot say that this was earlier than 1990 or 91 even. Now, if I had to guess, if this was truly in 1990, 1990, then Nanaki in this video is 9 years old because Michelle's birthday is in March. Nanaki's birthday is in January, so she would have just have turned 9 years old. Meghan here, I would say, is 10 years old if we're going off of Meghan being 11 in 1991. With the caption saying at the bottom, clowning around at her school friend Nanaki Pretty's 9th birthday party, a children's entertainer helps the girls with face painting. And I just showed you that this was Michelle's birthday party. If you look closer at this photo in the very bottom, there is Michelle's cake. And you can make out right there the M, the I, and partial of the C. So now when you take a look closer at the photos as well as the videos that Nikki Pretty gave to the media, you realize that Meghan's PR had their sticky little fingers all over it to make sure that the timeline as well as Meghan's history was solidified so nobody would question it. So here on December 1st, 2017, is this article with 50 intimate snaps of Ms. Markle from age 5 to 30 by her best friend. So when you look at the start of these photos with Meghan at allegedly 5 years old, Nanaki is nowhere to be found. As you can see here, this class that Meghan's in, she's not in this lineup. The girl standing next to Meghan is not Nanaki. Then you have this photo and Nanaki's nowhere to be found. So ask yourself this question, why would Nanaki have these photos if she's not in them? And here's the thing, all these photos that Nanaki had given, why does it say Splash News in the corner? Why doesn't it say Nanaki Pretty? It's because this was all calculated by Meghan and her PR team in order to spin the narrative that she really was born in 1981 and she really is the age that she says she is. Because if she wasn't and she was older, she most likely would not have locked down Prince Harry. Because as is, 3 years older than Harry is kind of a gap. We know that there's a double standard. Had the roles been reversed, then it wouldn't have been such a big deal. But this is the world that we live in. And I would think if Meghan was 5 to 7 years older than Harry, that could have jeopardized her chances to locking it in with the prince. Hence the reason for this elaborate cover-up on all fronts, but Meghan gives herself away. So Meghan and her stupid dish soap commercial.
I was 11 years old, and you may know the story. I had seen a commercial that I felt was sexist, and I wrote a letter, several letters about it.
So this dummy uses the age of 11 because it backs into her story of being born in 1981, because at 11, if she was born in 1981, that would have been the year of 1992. But when you go and rewatch the segment with Nickelodeon, Meghan gives herself away right here.
My name is Meghan Markle. I'm 12 years old, and I just graduated from the 6th grade, and I'm going to the 7th.
You just heard her say, my name is Meghan Markle, I'm 12 years old, and I just graduated the 6th grade and going into 7th. So now this is important. I need you to follow me here. This episode that Meghan was featured on was aired on April 22nd, 1993. So you just heard Meghan say that she was going into the 7th. So at the time of this recording, it literally was in between when she graduated and before starting the 7th grade in the fall of 92. So now this completely destroys the credibility of Nanaki's video. They want us all to believe that this happened in 1993.
Okay, I'm Megan. I'm one of the graduates.
So they want us to believe that this was happening in 1993, but when you look at this photo closer, or when you look at this still shot closer, you can see that there is a clear edit there in a border being around the number 3. You can see the border a little bit better here with this X-ray filter on it. You can also see Nanaki's hair bleed into the number 3 to give this appearance that she is in front of this big poster. But the obvious indicator of seeing that this was edited is in this still shot. As you can see, there is something that goes across the 3, but also look at the 3 itself. It's very different to the 3 that you saw prior. Tell me, folks, does this look like the same 3 to you? It sure doesn't to me. And the most ridiculous thing here is that in the media, when The Sun reported this, they put that this was taken in the summer of 1994 when it clearly says 93. I mean, it's not really 93, but you see how confusing this all became. So if we are to go off of Meghan's words, this couldn't be 1993 when she graduated from elementary school. Which goes back now to these class pictures showing that they definitely have been manipulated. The one where Scarlet Rouge is sitting there, definitely not 1992. And then the one on the right where the board is cut off, that was intentional because they don't want you to see the date on there, which I will bet says 1992. And yes, Mr. Terrell does exist. And I say that because he does look like he's photoshopped in, wearing practically the same thing with his arms behind his back. But no, he's real. So now we have to bring up this question. If Meghan is seen here and indicated that she was 12 years old at the time, going to be 13 in the fall. Now remember, Thomas Markle said that Meghan went to go live with him when she was 11 years old. So apparently Doria had been away for a good 5 to 6 years. So I asked my audience, is this a real photo or is this photo shopped? Okay, let's pause right here and do a temperature check. I put these two photos up here, both given by Nanaki. Can anybody honestly tell me that both of these photos look like Meghan is the same age, even though at the bottom the caption states that they're both from 1991? Does anybody believe that on the left-hand side, Meghan is 10 years old versus the photo on the right side where she's missing a good portion of her teeth? No. So you see how we have been manipulated. If you're agreeing with me, go ahead and hit that like button so I know that I'm on the right track here. Let's continue on. It's about to get worse. I think we all can agree that thirsty little Meghan was trying to get into show business way before she said she was trying to get into it after college. As you can see here, Meghan is writing her letter to Procter & Gamble for Nickelodeon. And in this shot, you can see she's wearing the varsity jacket behind her chair, as well as that stupid hat that she's wearing in these headshots. I'm not even sure now that I even believe this dish soap commercial anymore, based off of what we are seeing right now. So now when you look at this photo that was placed by OK Magazine, definitely photoshopped. And the reason is the Mirror got this wrong. They got the year right for the graduation, which is 1992, but they got her age wrong. So now we get through her middle school for 7th and 8th, and what do we find? All these black and white photos. Everyone knows that black and white photos make it difficult to pick up on if a photo has been photoshopped, which I suspect that many of these photos have been photoshopped. But the most egregious manipulation here is this middle school graduation photo of where it does say 95 on her tassel, but if you look closer at this tassel, that tassel has been photoshopped. You see that lovely little white glow all around this tassel and all the way down? As you can see towards the bottom, where it would appear that they were trying to make it look like part of it was her hair, which then turns into the tassel, which then gets darker back into her hair. Clearly, this was edited, folks. But this gets even more batshit crazy. So, out of nowhere, this video surfaces of Meghan's graduation speech. Daily Mail had this exclusive, but doesn't say where this video came from. I can only imagine that the video was taken by Thomas Markle Sr. because it is focused on Meghan. Thomas Markle did not give this video to the Daily Mail. This definitely came from Meghan's camp with alterations. Remember, back in '93, Thomas Markle had a video camera that was filming just fine. There was no crackles or noise when he was video recording. We know this. But here we are with all this crackling, and it's super dark. One thing I'd like to point out here is that you're unable to read whatever year is supposed to be on those tassels, and that's because it's not 1995. So what I'm going to do here is lighten this video as best as I can so you can see a little bit more what is about to go on. Okay, the one thing that I want you to focus on here in the next 25 seconds are Meghan's teeth. Clearly, you can see the two front teeth that she has. There's a wide gap there, and they are glowing like two chiclets, okay? So obviously, whoever's filming this knows Meghan. This is not Nanaki's parents. This is definitely someone from Meghan's side. So in true Meghan fashion, she gets up there to receive her diploma and goes to invade the teacher's space by giving her a hug. None of the other students are giving this woman a hug, but of course, Meghan, being Meghan, decides to do it. So before I show you what I uncovered here, I want you to just listen to this speech. I know it might be a little challenging with the crackling, but please do your best. I want you to hear what Meghan says.
Good evening, parents, friends, faculty, and fellow classmates of the class of 1995. Today we are here to celebrate our graduation and to share our appreciation for our brief time at Immaculate Heart Middle School. 2 years ago, we came here as young girls, a bit frightened, overwhelmed, and filled with wonder and anticipation about our new school and what our future would bring. Today we are proud and more confident young women on our way to high school. We have so much to be thankful for. First, the privilege of attending Immaculate Heart Middle School. Second, our parents for their sacrifice and commitment to our excellent education. Third, the faculty and staff for their patience, dedication, and support over these last 2 years. And most of all, we thank the true women of great heart who had vision and founded our school. And today, we acknowledge the women of the community and other people who keep Immaculate Heart going and growing. We are proud to be part of this great nation, and you will always be in our hearts and prayers. We have grown in many ways over these last 2 years, physically, academically, emotionally, and spiritually. The academics were challenged, but we learned to meet the challenge and study to be prepared. In science class, we observed our fragile environment and developed a sense of personal responsibility to our earth. We also learned about and experienced deep compassion for those who suffer with the AIDS virus. Faith, hope, and respect for God and others, topics discussed during religion, help us develop spirituality in our lives. And who can ever forget the numerous pop quizzes in English, which seemed horrendous, but taught us to be organized and properly prepared for class. During art, the use of watercolors helped us reflect upon and create wonderful images of nature, while in PE, we kept our hearts pumping with jogging and swimming. Courage and determination were displayed by Sojourner Truth, Abraham Lincoln, Frederick Douglass, and many more individuals in American history. And in literature, we were able to expand our language skills and vocabulary joke, which enabled us to write more than poetry about the positive and negative things we encounter, as well as creating our own personal book club. We also learned to be organized and responsible individuals with an awareness of our moral responsibilities to our school and our community, which we demonstrated when we adopted the first and second graders of Immaculate Conception and inner city school. We succeeded in brightening all our lives with the Halloween carnival, other holiday visits, gifts, games, songs, delicious lunches, and parent smiles. As a special part of our 8th grade journey, we went on a retreat and learned to better understand ourselves and our friends. We had culture days to share, celebrate, and demonstrate our ethnic and cultural differences. We learned about each other and made many new friends. We also had disagreements and altered relationships, but we created many new lasting bonds. Both the painful and happy times we shared here at Immaculate Heart will always be deeply valued. Now, as we enter into high school, we go with the values instilled from Immaculate Heart Middle School. We will graduate from college we will graduate from high school in 1999 and begin college in the next century, taking many different paths. Some of us have gone to politics, finance, entertainment, education, and many other fields. But no matter what field we choose, we will always carry the spirit of Immaculate Heart with us, and always and forever, as women of great heart, dedicate ourselves to making it a better world.
If you didn't know any better, you'd be like, wow, that kid is so well-rounded. She's going to be the next World Economic Forum global leader as a global citizen, right? This lunatic altered this speech using AI. Let me show you. Remember I told you to focus on her teeth in the beginning and pay attention to that gap? Well, watch Meghan's mouth and watch those teeth. You can see that there is a clear, pronounced gap as she's speaking. I'm not going to go ahead and play the audio because it is distracting, and I do believe that that's by design, on purpose. So what you're going to start to see is the right tooth begins to get smaller. Watch this again. Watch her mouth as she talks about the environment and HIV.
In science class, we observed our fragile environment and developed a sense of personal responsibility toward Earth. We also learned about and experienced deep compassion for those who suffer with the AIDS virus. Faith, hope, and respect for God and others, topics discussed during religion, help us develop spirituality in our lives. And who can ever forget the numerous pop quizzes in English, which seemed horrendous, but taught us to be organized and properly prepared for class. During art, the use of watercolors helped us reflect upon and create wonderful images.
So now you'll see the camera or the film go out of focus, and that's intentional because this is being manipulated.
Were displayed by Sojourner Truth, Abraham Lincoln, Frederick Douglass, and many more individuals in American history. And in literature, we were able to expand our language skills and vocabulary, which enabled us to write more lyric poetry about the positive and negative things we encounter.
So now as you're watching this speech, where did the gap from her teeth go?
As well as creating our own personal book club. We also learned to be organized and responsible individuals with an awareness of our moral responsibilities to our school and our community, which we demonstrated when we adopted the first and second graders of Immaculate Conception and inner-city school. We succeeded in brightening all our lives with the Halloween carnival, other holiday visits, gifts, games, songs, delicious lunches, and caring smiles. As a special part of our 8th grade journey, we went on a retreat and learned to better understand ourselves and our friends. We had culture days to share, celebrate, and demonstrate our ethnic and cultural differences. We learned about each other and made many new friends. We also had disagreements and altered relationships, but we created many new lasting bonds. Both the painful and happy times we shared here at Immaculate Heart will always be deeply valued. Now, as we enter into high school, we go with the values instilled from Immaculate Heart Middle School. We will graduate from college, we will graduate from high school in 1999 and begin college in the next century, taking many different paths. Some of us have gone to politics, finance, entertainment, education, and many other fields. But no matter what field we choose, we will always carry the spirit of Immaculate Heart with us, and always and forever, as women of great heart, dedicate ourselves to making it a better world.
There's no doubt that this was digitally altered. As you can see in this X-ray photo, you have on the left side the two chiclets that I told you to focus on, and then on the right side is the end of her speech. Where did that gap go? All of a sudden now she has these perfect teeth. I think this is a good place to stop with part one to allow you to digest all of this. I'm sure for some of you, your mind might be blown at this moment, like mine was, in starting to see all of this unravel. Once you see it, you can unsee it. And in part two, we're going to talk about what year was Meghan really born in, because it definitely was not 1981, despite what the media as well as the Markles had told us. We'll get into all of that in part 2, as we still have to talk about high school and college. There's a lot more that I need to show you regarding this little psychopath. Here's one little fun fact before I go. Remember we talked about Scarlet Rouge and her mom, Michelle Lamy? Well, it turns out Michelle Lamy models Nanaki Pretty's jewelry, as you can see here. Make what you will of that. We really don't know who this woman is, because everything, I mean everything, has been a lie. I don't even think Harry fully knows what he married. Anyhow, definitely let me know your thoughts below. As always, I will be back with more content, but until then, please be safe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!
I was such a fraud.